Now you have 20 years of business and marketing experience, and and people can certainly research and see where you've worked, but I'm just going to name these brands, and I would love to hear, what's a lesson you've learned? What's something you took from that experience, right?
Sure.
So we've got Deloitte.
I learned how to work for a ton of different bosses at one time. And because I'd be on like 8 projects at once with 8 different bosses. And so I had to learn how to change my style based upon what they want. Because it rarely you can change them.
Okay. And also, I think that was the time when you at one point were you were doing tax returns. Was that the
Yes.
for ultra high net worth individuals? What did you learn from that experience? Just curious about that little rabbit trail.
Well, I still do my own taxes now today because it was a
Okay.
valuable skill. But I learned that no job is beneath me. And also, when you're doing this, you learn that everyone who was a high net worth individual owned real estate. So
Mm,
it was probably the best investment you can make.
okay. I love it. All right. Then you went over to Apple Batch. What was it like there? What was the experience there?
I learned marketing through the School of Hard Knocks there because I was my first
Okay.
real marketing gig. And so I learned how to build a digital business, how to do marketing, how to do social for the first time, how to acquire users at a low cost. I learned pretty much everything. I think everyone should do a startup, and everyone and know that it might fail, but you'll those lessons learned you'll take with you forever. I learned how to basically build they say entrepreneurs are you have to believe in yourself, otherwise no one else could do. And I think that's what entrepreneurship teaches you is when everyone else thinks it's not going to work, you have to learn to believe in yourself.
Okay. Mind share.
I worked integrated marketing communications trying to tell stories across all these different plans, and the agency model's a mess. Uh, and they don't really want to work together. And a lot of time is wasted also. Not wasted. People put so much effort on the reach, the frequency, the math, and I think sometimes they don't they hurry up and do the creative stuff. And what's
Mm,
in the impression matters so much that the math doesn't matter at all if you don't have a great story to tell.
okay. And then you went over and you led digital marketing at Discovery Communications.
Yeah, that was my first time I worked with a sales force to create ideas that they took to market for Discovery, and I learned the how to the marketing sales relationship in partnering. We took our Facebook following from like 1 million to 100 million. And so I learned social really there, but it wasn't science. I mean, it wasn't so hard. All we did was stop putting our ads and on-air promotions on social and start programming content that people love. And so I learned to be the thing that people want and not the thing that they try to block.
And then Digitas, you were the senior VP of marketing and advertising at Digitas. What
Yep.
was that like?
I learned the power of the storyboard and in crafting a storyboard for your presentation to clients. If you think in storyboards, it helps you get to a place better. And I also learned that um, Digitas was great at thinking about how to build utility for clients and for their consumers. Um, I learned a lot about building platforms, not just campaigns. Like Small Business Saturday is like a platform that can sustain. Campaigns come and go, but brands need to actually build things that matter and can last for longer times to make real change with consumers.
And then you ended up at a really small tech company called IBM, and ended up being the chief content officer there. And I can see how the story kind of component infused from your previous time at Digitas is now setting this up. But yeah, talk us through that role at IBM, what that did for, yeah, just what the things you worked on, some of the, again, lessons learned there, valuable takeaways from that experience. That's really cool.
Yeah, thank you. IBM again took a risk on someone who never worked in their industry, never worked at a big brand. Um, But I tend to be the person when the job is not well defined and the KPIs didn't exist. I remember in the interview process, I was interviewing with John Awada, who was the guy who invented Smarter Planet. He's kind of like a genius in the industry. And I was asking him, like, how many people are in the group? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, what's the KPIs? He's like, we want a leader to come and figure it out. And I was like, this is a good job for me. I can figure this out. But it was also kind of scary because there was hundreds of people around the world who I had to figure out how to connect and lead. But I learned first that product marketing is can't be about the products. It has to be about the people. So in a sense, they should maybe just call it people marketing in the summer sense, because a lot of the work we had to do was not to transform product marketing. It was transform the ability of them to tell stories and understand how to translate the what, like functions, into the why that resonate with people. I also learned that helped lead the transformation for Agile. So I learned what Agile means which is a software development methodology for marketing. And that was not about changing how to get people to go work faster. It was actually a cultural change. It was getting people to embrace trust, respect, openness, and courage and failure. And that, for a company that was 110 years old, was the challenge in getting in changing how we work. And then I helped lead the change of an old sales go-to-market model of selling through sellers to selling through SaaS. And that is a whole marketing actually owning more end-to-end the whole process and using data to constantly optimize what we do. And that is about, I think, a great opportunity for marketing, to step up and take a leadership role as a discipline, almost like how CPGs have done it, where marketing is more in the forefront. I think in a lot of other industries, marketing is kind of in service of sales. And I believe in, servitude leadership and kind of working with my peers. But I also believe that marketing is the most empathetic discipline, and we're the champions of the audience, and we should have a seat at the table. And I think through SaaS, tech firms have the ability should elevate marketing as a discipline. So I'm champion the transformation for marketing and marketers to be a more prominent role in driving sustainable business growth.
That's huge. Yeah, that we literally had a CMO in earlier this week talking about that, just how much of his energy and effort goes towards being this advocate, at the table and reaching across the aisle and building trust with other stakeholders, and how, the utility of the marketing leader role today is it's the most interesting role to me in the C-suite, is the person leading marketing. And I don't know that it was always the case years past, but in 2022, it's such an interesting time to be a marketing leader.
Yeah. Well, if you think it's what you have to do, you have to be an expert in almost everyone else's
right.
craft, and everyone else thinks they're the expert yours.
Yep. Exactly.
Everyone has a pen so everyone can write.
Exactly.
Everyone knows how to draw. Everyone knows how to do stuff, and so building respect for our craft is harder. I think it's a great craft for me, though, because like I said, I'm curious. And so I love trying to figure out at IBM how to build a tech stack, how to use AI and infuse it into marketing, how to use blockchain, how to use these things. And so you have to be like a tech specialist, an analytics specialist, a finance expert, and a creative person. And the reason why many CMOs, I think, fail is we are so siloed now as a discipline that we're not building people who are great at all those things. We build people who are really good at brand, really good at performance, really good at data.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to almost think about how to do the old school rotation programs and kind of build people who know how to pull it all together. And that's when I think through building my team now, I'm trying to figure out how do I make cross-discipline athletes. For the ones who want to become CMO someday, it's on me and it's on all of us but it's on, it's what I can do is try to help them be those cross-discipline athletes so they are successful in the future.
Huge. I think I'm very bullish on this idea. I mean, literally yesterday we spoke to the head of marketing for a company called the Fastenal Company. It's this huge supply chain company, $6 billion plus a year. And this amazing guest, Brooke, is the head of marketing there. She started there in training and development and was training employees. Then she got into customer research and built that team. And then she was an AE for the sales leader there. Then she took the job as head of marketing for this multi-billion-dollar. But if you look at her path, she learned all about the brand. She learned all about the customer. She learned about how revenue drives growth. And she could speak all those languages when she was interviewing against all these more qualified people. She knew too much, and now she's been the marketing leader there for almost 10 years. So to your point, the rotational, that experience. You just see where humans can end up, and the impact they can make at scale across industries because of this, less than straight path.
I believe one of my some of my best employees were people who I placed bets on, and if we want other discipline, if we want everyone else to take risks on us, you have to be willing to take risks on other people. And so I think, we should be more open to hiring people from other backgrounds into the marketing craft, and not assume because someone was a performance marketer their whole life that they can't figure out brand. I think that is, demeaning to the human potential.
This podcast is brought to you by Salesforce and the CMO Club. The CMO Club is a global community for senior marketing executives to come together, share ideas, and solve their toughest challenges in a collaborative and trusted environment with other marketing leaders. Salesforce and the CMO Club provide best-in-class programs, events, and a digital platform for marketing leaders to come together and be inspired like never before. Join our global community at thecmoclub.com.